Have you ever wondered, ba't ang landi ng kabataang Pinoy? Yo, what's up guys? My name is GLOCO and welcome to a follow-up video on Barangay 143. By the way, I'm really happy that most of you guys had the same sentiments that I did during the previous video, and I saw the feedback, and generally it's all positive. So yeah, thank you for feeding my ego, guys. Anyway, during the last video, I pointed out how great the animation is and how the Tagalog dubbing sucked. But now that episode 2 and 3 has been released, did the show improve on its weak points, or did it get worse? Just like in my last review, I'll be breaking it down into segments. The animation, the characters, the storytelling, and the dubbing. You know, I guess it's not too bad. This is gonna be a long discussion, mainly because I'm gonna be covering 2 episodes on this review, but I'll try to summarize it as much as I can, alright guys? So, here we go! Alright, let's begin with the animation. I'd like to open this segment with some news regarding the recent rumor of the animators of the show being underpaid. So some sources introduce themselves to me as people who works for the studio. Some of them are the animators and some of them are from another division. But one thing in common they told me is that the animators are indeed being underpaid. According to the sources, most of the budget is being pooled to the actors and the tours they have to promote the show. And with what I've been seeing recently with the Barangay 143 campaign in social media, it's not hard to think that the rumors could be true. So to the animators who are still working on this anime, I give you all my respect, guys, and whatever criticism I have for this show's animation is probably due to the limitations you guys have. So I'm wishing you guys all the best. So for those who are being harsh on the animation being stiff, slow, and all that stuff, please keep in mind that these animators are being underpaid and that they're doing their best with all the limitations they have. Okay, so just give them some slack. Alright, let's get back to the review. Actually, I didn't really notice any drop in animation quality. However, I didn't see any improvements either. There were a few awkward instances of some objects not moving the way they're supposed to, and some small mistakes such as the little schoolgirl in the background having noticeable boobies, but then she loses them in the next shot. Okay, I'm talking about that lolly girl. Yes, guys, that's how much attention I paid to detail. Alright, guys. The animation is as stiff as usual, but at least there were instances of cool animation, such as the one in episode 2, where they showcased the streets of Tondo. The shots were animated smoothly, and it was really nice seeing a taho vendor running around. So I guess it's safe to say that the animation quality won't be consistent in some parts, but don't worry about it. I mean, it's normal for studios to have scenes that are better animated than others, especially in shonen anime where the fight scenes are given more priority than the unimportant scenes. So other than that, the only way to go now is to either smoothen out the future animation frames or at least keep it from degrading, but not really sure if they still have time to do that because I'm pretty sure all the post-production is already done except for the sound editing. Oh yeah, speaking of sound editing, I think most of you guys have noticed that there were still scenes where the sound effects and the dubbing still didn't sync with the animation that they were doing, but we'll talk about that later in the dubbing segment. Now let's move on to the characters. In this segment, I'll be talking about the character development of the main characters and my first impressions of the new ones. Episode 2 was more of a flashback episode, while episode 3 was the direct sequel to episode 1. But a lot of things happened in the past episodes, and it really opened my eyes to where this show is going and the true nature of our characters. So let's start with our main character, Brent. Brent was introduced to us in the first episode as a passionate athlete who loved his family. Rest in peace. To be honest, I didn't really find his character interesting, but now I don't really like him anymore. Mainly because the recent episodes showed his egotistical side. When he was a star player, he was so full of himself. He even made quick moves on Vicky, giving me the impression that he's actually a player not only in basketball but also in romance. Speaking of romance, I am very disappointed with Vicky as well because I'll get to that later on. Anyway, Brent was also shown to be a character who gets really reckless when under stress, something that I find very inconsistent to the traits of a team captain. Now, maybe he was just being reckless because he blames himself for his family's death and stuff, and he's undergoing stages of depression, but like I said, it's not a likely trait of someone who's regarded as a leader or a captain of a team. At this point of the story, Brent is trying to forget about basketball and is trying to mend his broken relationship with Vicky that ended because of some kind of miscommunication, which I'll be discussing later on the storyboard. Going back to Brent, for someone who has lost his whole family, the likely development for Brent is for him to form a new family with his future teammates and friends in Tondo. I'm also guessing that his love for basketball will also be reawakened, not because of his true love for basketball, but it's probably because of Vicky, his love for Vicky. I mean, that's how shonen anime work. The typical comeback development arc of some main characters is always because of some kind of love interest. Yeah, well, anyway, my impression for Brent right now is he's a freaking playboy, and I don't want him forming any romantic relationships with Vicky with the way he's doing it right now. Next is our best grill turned disappointment. Let me explain. Our first impression of Vicky was that of a strong-willed girl who didn't take any shit from anyone. Totally the qualities of a top girl to admire. But then, on episode 3, we were shown her vulnerable side. And it was just awful. I mean, it only took Brent, a stupid pebble throwing contest, an offer of ice cream sundae, and a cheesy, stupid hand-holding scene, to get Vicky flustered and all waku ducky ducky. In other words, in Tagalog, marupok si Vicky. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I hate female characters who are easily swooned by pretty-looking men on their first meeting. What is this? Some kind of freaking Disney princess movie? What? There was no significant romantic development between them. Okay, when I say significant, I'm talking about meaningful moments. You call a freaking pebble throwing competition a meaningful moment right after you're grieving for your dead brother? What? This is what we call in typical romance animes as forced romance, okay? To give you guys an example, in some animes, there's this girl who's running in a hurry to get to school or somewhere, and then when they turn into a corner, there's this guy who suddenly just pops out of nowhere. So they bump into each other, and then they have this, this stupid romantic moment, and suddenly, they're in love. That's the kind of stupid development we're talking about here. If you think about it, I think actually it happened to them. Vicky was eating ice cream. Brent was not looking at where he was going. Brent bumped into Vicky, and that's where it happened. That's where everything began. See, it's stupid. All right, stupid. Even for Japanese animes, it's overused. Now, she may be acting as a tough girl right now, but make no mistake, it's probably only because of her bitterness towards Brent and for the sake of whipping her teammates into shape. Vicky still has feelings for Brent. It's pretty obvious, okay? If she didn't, she would have just thrown the keychain and that's it. But she still keeps it and she's still frustrated all over it. But you know what? Sooner or later on, she's gonna swoon over Brent for the littlest effort that Brent will offer her. Okay, if that happens, that's it. Screw Vicky. I'm sorry guys for ranting like this. I had high hopes for Vicky, but seeing her as some kind of easy to get girl is yeah, it just turns me off. Moving on, we take a look at Wax Rivera with hair. See, that's how he looked like in the game. But there's nothing much to say about Wax other than he's also an egotistical little bastard. He reminds me of that, the typical bitter rival of most main characters. They strive to be the best and antagonizes the main character in whatever way possible. But at least Wax seems like a more interesting character than Brent, unless he continues acting like a little shit for the whole show with no redeeming development whatsoever. Plus points, by the way, for tricking Brent into saying engot. Filipinos like trolling foreigners into saying Tagalog words out of context. And I think most of us has done it before. Next is Kapitan Baby or Tita Baby. She's a sweet old lady who's now standing as a mother figure to Bren. And not only that, she's also watching out for everyone in their town. I mean, she is the barangay captain. She's a very charismatic lady. I mean, it's evident with the way people respect her authority as a barangay captain. But I think the best thing about her is how she totally depicts the qualities of a longtime yaya. Now, I've had yayas take care of me before, and I can say that Kapitan Baby's mannerisms and speech pattern totally reminds me of my yayas back when I was a kid. It's kind of refreshing seeing her in this anime. I don't know, it's kind of nostalgic in some way, maybe. Next up is Butchoy, or that little street kid, or I think I prefer to call him Super Ingo for some reason. I don't know, it reminds me of his character. But anyway, I've hanged out with street kids before, and Butchoy totally fits the spunky little kids you see in Pinoy neighborhoods. Only thing is, he's actually respectful and acknowledges an older authority like Kapitan Baby. Something that most street children lack nowadays. His voice actor also fits the character really well, so yeah, I like Butchoy. Now we go to the side characters. Let's start with the creepy pedophile, and I was actually surprised that the show had one. It seems like this dude is working for the FIBA commissioner as a henchman. I wouldn't be surprised if he's also the same guy who killed Basti in the opening. But one thing's for sure, there's corruption going on in the barangay leagues, and the FIBA official is in the center of it, okay? And we'll discuss more of that later in the story segment. Next is the coach of the Green Monkeys. I'm not really sure why I included him here, but the poor dude got his daughter harassed in front of him, and he couldn't do anything. And he's probably afraid of what could happen to him and his family if he defies the boss. Next, Brent's coach, or the Korean team's coach. Now, I really like this guy. Despite Brent being a little shit and throwing the game for his whole country, he still stepped in to defend Brent from scrutiny and told him to take a break from basketball to give time for Brent to grieve. He even offered Brent to return once he's ready, and not only that, he tried to, talking some sense into Brent, telling him that his family wouldn't be proud to see Brent as he is. This coach is a whole lot more professional in terms of acting the part compared to Coach B. Next up is Brent's female friend in Korea. Now, I'm not really sure what kind of relationship they have, but this girl is definitely interested in Brent in more ways than one. Unfortunately, Brent doesn't give a shit about her that much. I actually have this theory that this woman is actually the person who sabotaged the meeting of Brent and Vicky before Vicky went home to the Philippines. Now, if you remember the scene where a woman delivered a box to Vicky, I'm thinking that that woman is actually Brent's female friend. Well, anyway, let's keep an eye on that woman in the next episode. As for the rest of the Pusakals, well, they're still the old, worthless-looking bunch, so yeah, we're not gonna talk about them. So, in summary, Vicky and Bren are a bunch of love-stricken fools and reflects how quickly most young people in the Philippines date nowadays. And if this show turns out to be like the typical Filipino telenovela, then I'm betting my money that Bren's real father is the FIBA commissioner. God, what's happened to my voice? But you get what I mean, guys. Filipino telenovelas love those type of plot twists where, you know, the real father is actually the bad guy and all that. So you get what I mean. But anyway, let's move on to the storyboard segment so we can discuss more on that. Now, for this segment, I'll be focusing on analyzing the notable parts on each episode. So let's start with episode 2. This episode is more of like a flashback to Brent's life in Korea right after the tragedy. The drama in this episode started pretty cool, and they mentioned mature stuff like insurance policies, getting a job after graduating, and other things that most adults could relate to. However, I think the drama went a little too off during the part where Brent was breaking down in the middle of the game. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I know that pain and grieving and the way people experience trauma is very subjective, okay? But, you know, as someone who studied psychology, it just, I mean, it's so cliche and such a poorly thrown plot device. He shouldn't even be playing if he's grieving that much, let alone carrying his team in the majority of the game and then just losing his wits in the end. I don't know, it's, you know, during his breakdown, he spent several crucial seconds having a panic attack, and I was expecting he'd just throw the ball randomly. But what did he do? He calmly puts the ball down like an idiot. That's not how a panic attack works. Or, I don't know. I mean, it was just so off. I mean, it could have been handled a lot better, in my opinion. And I'm sure the rest of the team could have made a play if he just passed the ball right away. So it's very understandable to see the frustrations of his teammates and coach when they went back to the locker room. It was so unbecoming of someone who's a captain, even for someone who lost his entire family. I mean, he shouldn't be playing. Well, the rest of the episode is Brent undergoing the second stage of depression, which is anger. He became a reckless rascal and did the same thing that Jihu did in Boys Over Flowers. You know, he rode a motorcycle in YOLO mode in busy traffic. And then, just like any anime with drama and tragedy, Truck-kun comes in to wreck the main character. And another cliche, since Brent is our main character, he only comes out with minor injuries. Ugh. I mean, like, you got hit by a truck. What did you get? Just a minor concussion, that's it? You should have at least gotten like broken bones and all that stuff. And that's what you call the power of plot armor. Fast forward to his recovery, Brent visits his family grave, and lo and behold, a family friend is there waiting for Brent, as if she absolutely knew that Brent was gonna be there so that she can give him the most reused plot twist in Pinoy telenovelas. Brent, your real father is from the Philippines. Oh. And Brent be like, whoa, okay. Right after my parents died, you dropped this bomb on me like it actually even matters. I mean, come on, let's be real here, guys. This was such a forced plot twist even for this show. Brent has been living his whole life with his Korean family, with no knowledge of his real father whatsoever. So why should Brent still concern himself with his true father, that never really cared about him, and that never really bothered visiting him or something? I don't know. Oh yeah, I want to rant something about Brent's mother, okay? It's just, I just don't like her character anymore. I mean, she broke off with her fiancé, went to the Philippines for some soul searching. I don't even know why she would choose the Philippines out of all the places, but, she meets some dude there who's probably into Korean women. They dated for a very short time, and then they fell truly in love. But then, for some reason, this true love didn't work out, and then Brent's mom returns to Korea, finds out she's pregnant with Brent, went back to her old fiancé, and then marries him. Like, what the fuck is wrong with that woman? I'm surprised Brent's Korean father even agreed to marry that woman, knowing that she's pregnant for 3 months already with a child that, was, I don't know. It looks so wrong. But anyway, just wait till I get to Brent and Vicky's moment later on, alright? Whew. I'm ranting so much right now.
Anyway, going back to Brent and Sandara, the family friend, Brent starts crying when he reads his mother's letter and discovering about his real father. Brent's emotions are everywhere, and I don't really understand why he's crying in that part. He's a nervous wreck. I'd also like to point out that Brent's mother conveniently asks Sandara to keep a secret and gives her the mission to tell Brent when the time is right, as if Brent's mom already knew that they were gonna die at some point soon. And again, why even tell Brent about it? I mean, what benefit will Brent get for knowing that he still has a blood relative alive who never even cared for him? Seems like this was all just some kind of convenient, poorly done plot device to make Brent visit the Philippines. Yeah, I'm just very frustrated that our initial hunch of this show becoming a typical Filipino telenovela might actually be true. Well, oh well. Moving on, the timeline shifts to the present with Vicky asking a perverted lowlife for a favor. She must be very desperate to even ask such a disgusting creep. And as expected, the pervert was too full of himself just because a pretty girl talked to him for a favor. Typical perverted tambay. Can't even believe Vicky even allowed that creep to touch her here and stuff like that. But good thing our girl gave him a solid punch to the face. Now I wish it was that convenient for women to knock out perverts in real life when they get harassed. But in reality, most women feel helpless when faced with such a situation. Not to mention, it's dangerous to even mess with such guys when you don't have friends to back you up, especially in Tondo. After that, Vicky rides off on her bicycle and almost gets run over by a car. What is up with this show and, vehicular accidents? I don't know. Anyway, Vicky is confronted by Wax's friend and an all too familiar phrase is blurted out. Kung sino pa may kasalanan, sila pa yung galit. Pertaining to Vicky's ranting when in fact it was her fault for almost getting hit by the car. Such things happen frequently here in the Philippines, so it kind of shows our lack of discipline and courtesy towards conflicts. Next scene, Brent arrives in the airport and is approached by a taxi driver who immediately recognizes him as Korean. How he could tell, I have no idea. But anyway, he offers Brent a ride to Tondo and off they went. Now, I would have loved it if they added a scene where the taxi driver asks for a ridiculous amount of money just to point out the current problem of taxi drivers asking for an overpriced flat rate from foreigners. I mean, it's still happening till now. The next scene shows a part of Tondo that surprisingly looks clean and wide. I don't know, maybe the MMDA cleared it up recently. But Captain Baby is doing her barangay captain duties as always, and she's fixing up a conflict. Then she tells two burly men to kiss and make up, and the two idiots actually tried to kiss. I mean, it's almost 2019 and we're still using these corny punchlines? Come on. And I'm pretty sure conflicts aren't resolved just like that in real life, especially in Tondo. Now, for those who didn't know, Tondo is a very notorious place for all sorts of trouble. Alright, it's kind of like if it's comparable to a town in America, it's probably like the Bronx or something. I don't know. Anyway, Brent arrives and surprises Capitan Baby and reveals to us that he doesn't want to see or involve himself with anything basketball related, showing to us that he does blame basketball for the death of his parents. Morning comes and Vicky and the Pusakals are out training early. This anime wastes no time and immediately allows their ball to magically fly to Brent's window and landing on top of him, and that's how the two former lovers got reunited. Wow, grabe ang tadhana, no? And to add insult to injury, they had this cheesy anime romantic moment as if it was love at first sight and all that shit, and then a cheesy Tagalog love song played to end the episode. Typical television. Why did they put that in there? I don't know. Guys, we still have episode 3, and it even has more of those cheesy, stupid, forced romantic moments in it, which we'll get into a bit. The episode begins with the green monkeys of Barangay 38 training, and then the pedophile character comes in to harass the coach and his daughter. They mentioned something about throwing a game to let another team win and stuff, so yeah, it's kind of cool seeing this because, this sort of things actually happen in the professional setting. Sports leagues here in the Philippines will always have a part of it corrupted. And in the case of this anime, the freaking FIBA commissioner himself is calling the shots. He's called the boss or something. And by the looks of it, a lot of money is involved in these games. Take note of what the pedophile said. Ayaw ni boss na may kaaway, kaya pinaliligpit na lang niya. Meaning that if he has any enemies, he's just gonna get rid of it. You know, any inconveniences that, you know, goes against him, he's gonna get rid of it. Easy. Alright, so I was kinda right in my theory that the FIBA commissioner was the guy who hired a hitman to kill Basti, and probably because Basti was way too talented and the Pusakals were some kind of rivals of his team, or I mean the boss's team. So after getting rid of Basti, the Pusakals started failing, and so, you know, mission accomplished for the FIBA commissioner. What concerns me now is if Brent starts playing for the Pusakals and gets the team back into the rankings, then Brent might be the next target for the riding in tandem or the hit. But then I still have this, you know, just this stupid, not really a stupid theory, but I mean, if I'm considering this as the typical Filipino telenovela, I'm expecting that there's this stupid plot twist revealing that the FIBA commissioner is actually Brent's true father. And that will make things more complicated for the boss. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out, but it's possible. I've seen it time and time again in these shows. It's possible, guys. Brent then has another flashback of when the time he and Vicky first met. So their first encounter with each other is when Brent was just walking, and then Vicky was trying to get some, you know, trying to enjoy an ice cream cone, and then they bump into each other. Because, you know, this anime just loves bumping people into other people or vehicles. I don't know what's up with that. Even you know, shortly after that, Bren and Wax bumps into each other in the hallway and then has a moment themselves. I don't know. This anime just loves bumping people. And then the next scene is probably my most hated scene of all. I mean, I swear I almost wanted to drop this anime because of the next sequences. It was something I was so afraid would happen to this anime, but unfortunately, they went through with it. I need to drink some water for this, guys. I'm gonna lay it down to you guys real hard, alright? Vicky is crying and grieving for her brother. Then Mr. Unstoppable inconsiderately tried butting in and pesters her. A few playful banter here and there. Bren and Vicky now agrees to a pebble shooting contest for a measly ice cream date. Vicky cheerfully wins the contest, but then Playboy Bren starts holding hands with her and then moved in for the kill. Now, this is where Vicky lost a lot of points for me. You know, she betrayed my expectations of her as a strong-willed girl, and it takes one pretty Korean boy to get her vulnerable. First of all, she was just grieving for her brother a few minutes ago. I mean, oh my god, I don't know. Look, I'll reenact how I reacted when I was watching those scenes, okay? Shoot the pebble in the garbage can, shooting game. Oh my god, they're so cringy. Ay, wow ha. Oh, wow ha! Wow ha! Cross hands na! Wow ha! Wow ha! Wow ha! Ang landi! Ang rupok!
I'll see you tomorrow for your ice cream.
Oh, but what the fuck, boy! Ay, ang harot! Landi! Wala na to. I am dropping this anime. Fuck this shit. Yeah, that's pretty much how I reacted, guys. It was kind of overacting, but you get the point, alright? Seriously, if this anime didn't had enough mystery to keep me interested and going, then I would have dropped this anime then and there just because of those stupid, cringy scenes. But if the cliches and the forced romance keeps up in the next episodes, I will consider dropping this anime for real, and I'll just wait for the Netflix adaptation of the Pinoy manga 13. You know, at least the bullshit there is a lot lesser.
I'm sorry for ranting like this, but forced romance in television will just end up conditioning kids and teenagers in having unrealistic views on how romance and courtship works. You just don't meet someone for the first time and then minutes later you're kissing each other and holding hands. I mean, that's not how it's supposed to be. Life isn't a Disney princess movie. It took me months to get to know my girlfriend before I even got to ask her on a date. But these thirsty little kids just threw pebbles in the trash and they got it on. I mean, what's up with that? Now, unfortunately, their romance didn't end there. They continued dating for some time and they truly believed they were in love with each other for the short time they had. A very familiar story, am I right? You know, talking about you, Brent's mother. Manang-mana talaga. Manang-mana si Brent sa nanay at sa totoong nanay at natay niya. Anyway, Brent sends a letterbox to Vicky with what appears to be noted to where they should meet up next before Vicky goes back to the Philippines. Fortunately, they weren't able to meet despite Brent showing up to his intended place of meetup. Based from Vicky's bitter reactions, it's obvious that there was some kind of misunderstanding and that the letterbox was sabotaged by someone they know. Fast forward back into the present, it's seen that Vicky is still frustrated and bitter about what happened, but her actions also says that she's still interested in Brent, as evidenced by the keychain she's still keeping and then the pillow hugging and shouting. The next scene shows Brent almost getting sideswiped again by a vehicle, namely a pedicab, because the show just loves that sort of thing, and going out of the house to go to the sari-sari store, or what he calls a convenience store. Now, I actually found that funny because it's true. Sari-sari stores are kind of like convenience stores, but I never really thought of calling them like that, so... We then get a beautiful animated sequence of the busy street of Tondo, showcasing, you know, the palenques and the street food. So it was kind of cool seeing it in anime form. Anyway, Brent encounters the dangerous type of tambais, the ones who get drunk in the middle of the day. It was also very cool how they portrayed these drunkards because it's really close to how these type of people act in the streets. They see you, they offer you to take a shot of alcohol, and then they expect you to take it because if you don't, they'll feel disrespected. But the ones who get really worked up are usually the bad types of people. Anyway, Brent politely denies the offer and almost gets in trouble. But then Super Ingo Kid comes in to save the day. Butchoy guides Brent to safety and starts boasting about it. A typical behavior of a witty Bibo street kid. And then he then offers to help Brent to find Vicky after giving Brent a mini PTSD flashback of Dara, and then the episode ends there. Whew! Wow! How many minutes did that take? And that's pretty much what happened to episode 2 and 3. Now, overall, I think the storyline is currently developing a lot better than I expected. Well, except for some very cliche moments and, the forced romance. But what's keeping me from dropping this anime is all the controversies that have yet to be unfolded. I want to see if my theories will be confirmed and if they'll show more references of the present society of the Philippines. Well, I think so far we've seen corruption, pedophilia, cringy puppy love, and street culture. And I'm already seeing a bit of crab mentality going on in some of the scenes. So here's hoping they keep the story interesting and less of the cringy and overly convenient cliche plot devices. Alright, so we're down to the last segment to review. The dubbing. Now here's the thing, guys. I'm actually impressed.
and disappointed at the same time. Impressed because the voice acting for the past 2 episodes actually improved. There's more emotion now, there's more conviction, but there were still some scenes where it started off really awkward, but it was just a few, namely the graveyard scene where Brent was talking to Sandara, the driver confronting Vicky after she almost crashed into them with her bike, and every Bren and Vicky moment. Every Bren and Vicky moment is so awkward. When they're talking to each other, it just doesn't feel natural. Or maybe I just hate them. I don't know. But other than those, everything else was cool. Even the Tagalog dubbing. Okay, so kudos to that. But the big problem still remains, guys, because it was noticeable in all 3 episodes. There were still some instances where the dubbing still wasn't syncing with the mouth animations, and sometimes the emotions of the voiceovers were not even consistent with the facial expressions of the characters. Not only that, the sound effects were still all over the place in some scenes, and it wasn't even timed right. For example, after Vicky punches that pervert in front of the Sari Sari store, the comical sound effect came seconds after the dude fell on the ground instead of exactly right after it. Another one was when Vicky shoved the basketball into Brent's gut. The sound effect and the voiceover there were not synced at all. So it seems that the show has problems with the sound directing team. Not sure, but they should definitely look into that in the future episodes, okay? Like, those type of details kind of ruins the immersion of the episode and the anime itself. So fix that, please, just fix that. So as it stands, Barangay 143 scores high in the main plotline, but is continuing to fail in the sound directing and also losing some appeal because of the many cliche plot devices. With how it is, this show will survive and probably continue to win over the masses who watches television. But for the anime elitists and enthusiasts, they might drop this already and just wait for the 13 anime that's coming in Netflix. For those who didn't know, 13 is a horror and mystery comic series created by indie writer Budget Tan and artist Kadjo Baldissimo. It's set in the Philippines and deals with paranormal crimes involving our very own folklore. So to be honest, I've never read 13, but I've been well aware of it since it came out, and it has a very loyal following, alright? I'm not really a manga reader, guys. I've only read, I think, 4 or 5 mangas in my whole life, so I'm more of an anime guy. So I'm really looking forward to this anime adaptation when it comes out. Whew, wow, I said a lot of stupid stuff, didn't I? Actually recorded this for 2 hours straight of talking and talking and talking. But thank you very much for watching this anyway. If you were able to finish and enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like because it really helps me out a lot. And please feel free to share your thoughts and theories in the comments section, and I'd love to read them and get a discussion going. Now, if this video somehow gets a lot of views, then maybe I'll make more of this anime and show reviews in the future, because they're very fun to make. Alright, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like and share it with your friends, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. Oh my god, what's happening to my voice? Don't forget to ring that freaking bell to get notified of my future uploads, and if you're looking forward to more of these, then just give me some suggestions and stuff, alright? I'll be open to it. I need more ideas. Come on, guys. And if you're looking for live reaction videos, consider subscribing to my GLOCO React channel, where I upload weekly episodes of my reactions to the latest anime episodes. And if you want to watch me live playing video games and doing random stuff, or if you want to talk to me live, then follow me in my Tamago Live channel in the link in the description below, okay? There, I stream there, I think around, I think 12 onwards, midnight. Yeah, I stream late at night to cater to my fellow nocturnal people. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Yeah! That all bosses.